of the most emerging field of technology development, that is machine learning, organized by Institution of Engineers, Durgapur Local Center, under the aegis of Computer Engineering Division. This webinar aims at deliberation, sharing knowledge to the target audience about the significance of machine learning, techniques, concept, implementation, application, and current research opportunities in the wide field of technology and engineering. The discussion shall foster interdisciplinary collaboration, research, and application. Also, this webinar provides an excellent opportunity to exchange idea on topic of importance, along with thought-provoking technical session. As we know, that machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence and computer science which focus on the use of data and algorithm to intimate the way that humans learn, gradually improving its accuracy. In the trace of history, author Samuel coined the term machine learning. Way back, it is 1959. Machine learning is nothing new. The history, in fact, dates back over 60 years to when Alan Turing created the Turing test to determine whether a computer had real intelligence. However, it can argue that the past 25 to 30 years have seen the biggest leaps and bounds in terms of advance in speech technology. Researching interest in machine learning is due to the same factors that have made data mining and Bayesian analysis more popular than ever. Things like growing volumes and varieties of available data, computational processing that is cheaper and more powerful, and affordable data storage. All these things means it's possible to quickly and automatically produce model that can analyze bigger, more complex data and deliver faster and more accurate result. They were on a very large scale. And by building precise models, an organization has a better chance of identifying profitability opportunity or avoiding unknown risks. The importance of machines has been highlighted in articles covering everything from visual assistant solution to self-driving cars and robots that can perform the same task as humans. Several large companies define machine learning as the future. But what does that really means? However, is machine learning the future? With this seemingly intriguing yet straightforward question, I, Dr. Bimal Das, Assistant Professor, NIT Durgapur, by privilege bestowed to me as a mentor, welcome you all to the technical webinar on application of machine learning, organized by Institution of Engineers, an institute that ever since its inception has been forerunner in setting up national standards for promoting the country's industrial base. Hosted by Durgapur Local Center.
Hello. Hello.
Dr. Bimal, you are not audible.
It is not audible, sir.
Sir, I think he is facing some technical issues, connectivity issues with at his end. just wait for some time.
Sorry for. Please,
Dr. Das.
yes. Please join me to welcome Dr. C. Konar, Professor and Head, Department of CSC, Dr. B.C. Roy, Engineering College, Durgapur, Dr. C.S. Mitra Thakur, Associate Professor, Department of CSC and Program Coordinator, AI and Machine Learning, Dr. B.C. Roy, Engineering College, Durgapur, and also Mr. Vishwarup Mukherjee, Senior Data Scientist and AI and Machine Learning Trainer, Analytic and Insights Data Consultancy Service, Kolkata. As a human and as a user of technology, you complete several certain tasks that require you to make an important decision or classify something. For instance, when you read your inbox in the morning, you decide to mark that win a free card if you click here, email as spam. Oh, how would a computer know to do the same things? Machine learning is comprised through algorithms that teach computer to perform tasks that human beings do naturally on a daily basis. This basic algorithm for teaching a machine to complete tasks and classify as a human date back several decades. The difference between now and when the model were first invented is that the more information is fed into the algorithm, the more accurate they become. The past few decades have seen massive scalability of data and information, allowing for much more accurate predictions that were ever possible in the long history of the machine learning. Without further delay, let me welcome uh, our chairman, Durgapur local center, Mr. Sofikul Islam, Dr. Dr. Amit Roy, Amit Kumar Das, Chairman, CPDB, Mr. and Mr. Manos Mojumdar, Honorary Secretary, Durgapur Local Center, IEI, and each and every participant present in this August gathering. At first, I would like to request Mr. S. Islam, Chairman, Durgapur Local Center, to deliver the welcome address. Sir, it is all over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Das. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes.
Thank you. Very good evening to all of you, respected dignitaries and all the respected participants through virtual platform. It is my immense pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of IEI Durgapur Local Center on today's program under CPDB on application of machine learning. We have with us Mr. Amit Kumar Das, Chairman, Computer Engineering Division, IEI, Council Member, Dr. Chandan Konar, Professor and Head of the Department of CSC, Dr. B.C. Roy Engineering College, Durgapur, Dr. G.S. Mitra Thakur, Associate Professor, Department of CSC and Program Coordinator, AI and Machine Learning, Dr. B.C. Roy Engineering College, Durgapur. Mr. Vishwarup Mukherjee, Senior Data Scientist and AI and ML Trainer, Analyst and Insights, Data Consultancy Service, Kolkata. Through their resourceful presentation, hope all of you will enjoy the program. And only I want to highlight on the topic. What is machine learning? Machine learning is an umbrella term for a set of techniques and tools that help computers learn and adapt on their own. Machine learning algorithms help AI learn without being explicitly programmed to perform a desired action. By learning a pattern from simple inputs, the machine learning algorithms predicts and performs tasks solely based on the learned pattern and not a predefined program instruction. Machine learning is a lifesaver in several cases where applying strict algorithms is not possible. It will learn the new process from previous pattern and execute the knowledge. Popular machine learning's application and examples are certain examples are there. That is social media features, product recommendations, image recognition, sentiment analysis, automating employee access control, marine wildlife prevention, regulating healthcare efficiency and medical services, predict potential heart failure, banking domain, and language translation, etc. Popular machine learning applications and technology are evolving at a rapid pace, and we are excited about the possibilities that our machine learning course has to offer in the days to come. With this, I will request Dr. Das to continue the proceedings. Thank you all.
Okay, now I would like to request Dr. Amit Kumar, Mr. Amit Kumar Das, Chairman, Computer Engineering Division Board, Institute of Engineers, to deliver his address to the audience. Mr. Das.
Thank you, Dr. Das. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Respected Durgapur IEI Local Center Chairman, Mr. Islam, and my good friend, and Honorary Secretary, Mr. Majumdar, Mr. Manas Majumdar, distinguished panelist of the day, Dr. Konar, Dr. Thakur, Mr. Mukherjee, who represents the industry, and Honorable Moderator, Dr. Das, Dr. Bimal Das, my colleagues and officials from IEI, and all the participants gracing this webinar. A very good evening. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar session on applications of machine learning. We hear the term data science, big data, data analytics, automation, machine learning, artificial intelligence, IoT quite often these days. These are technologies which tap data using the pillars of computer science, mathematics, and statistics discipline. We are generating a lot of data in terms of both volume and velocity. We also hear that the data is the new oil. The connotation is very apt. And in today's world, data means business. Hence, investing time in these topics definitely is the need of the hour and makes sense from business, academic, as well as future job perspective. These technologies are going to be the new norm of the future. Machine learning is quite an interesting advancement in terms of automation. In a nutshell, the computer based on past data analysis and algorithms is able to take decisions on itself. Further, as the new data comes in, the process of learning becomes more refined. That is, the computer itself trains with the data. Today, we have eminent experts, panelists, and a distinguished moderator who are going to take us through this journey on various applications of machine learning. I hope you will enjoy it. Once again, welcome to one and all. Thank you for joining this webinar. And I'm sure that all of us shall have some key takeaways, key takeaway learnings from this session. So with this, I want to keep it short, and I hand it over to Dr. Das to carry on the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your wonderful words. Okay. Now, let me introduce our today's first panelist, Dr. C. Konard, Chandan Konard. Chandan Konard is a professor and head department of CSC, Dr. B.C. Roy Engineering College. And Dr. Chandar Konard did his PhD in CSC in 2012 from Jadavpur University. Now he is a professor and head of CSC department of B.C. Roy Engineering College, Durgapur. He has more than 17 years of teaching experience in different engineering college in India. Dr. Konard is a fellow of IETE, IEI, South Indian Chamber of Scientific Research and Development, Nikhil Bhavan Shiksha Parishad, senior member of ORSI, member of CSI, ISTE, ISCA, IASTIT Singapore, UACEE Australia, and IRSS Canada. He is a member of Executive Committee of the Institute of Engineers India, Durgapur Local Center. Now he is a BOS member, question moderator, interview board member of several universities. He is moderator of different mock scores also. He is a reviewer of many international journal and conference. He has 4 patents and is an author of more than 50 research papers in international journal and conference proceeding. He is the author of 4 books. Currently, 4 PhD scholars are working under him. Dr. Konard, I heartily welcome to deliver your speech. Okay. Dr. Konard.
Okay, thank you, Dr.
over
Das.
to you.
Okay. So, good evening to everybody, Honorable Chairman, Mr. Shafiqul Islam, as well as Honorable Secretary, Mr. Manas Majumdar of Durgapur Local Center, Mr. Amit Kumar Das, the Chairman of CPTV Division, and our Dr. Bimal Das, as a Professor of NIT Durgapur, as a moderator, and my co-panelists, and as well as all the participants. So thanks to all of you for giving me this chance. So now I am going to our technological thing. So I am sharing the screen of my presentation. Now are getting, sir?
Yes, it's visible.
Can you make it full screen?
I'm doing it, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's looking good.
Okay, thank you, sir. It is we are in the topic of machine learning. So first of all, we have to know that how the evolution was came in engineering. So first of all, there is the 3 basic department of the engineering. We know it very well. There's the mechanical, civil, electrical. Then the electronics was came. Then the computer science was came. Then the IT was came. And now we are in the age of artificial intelligence or machine learning. So as per the experts or the technologies are telling that next 10 to 20 years, the AI will be ruled our world, and AI will be ruled our all of the technology in technological aspect. It is a great, huge scope for all the engineers and as well as all the researchers to make their research work to continue the research work in the realm of artificial intelligence or machine learning. So you can see the several commitments or several comments from the EICT officials or other our MHRD officials that they are also telling that to increase the more number of courses in the field of artificial intelligence or data science or cyber security or IoT like that. So we are expecting like that it will be ruled the AI or other emerging fields will be ruled our technology and as well as our world in the next 10 to 20 years. So as well as the result, we can see also that the booming of our IT industry. IT industry is boomed as it was in 91 or 92 like that. So now coming to in my research work or my topics. Actually, I was in the field of cyber security. So now I am working on AI, and AI is actually the applications of artificial intelligence in the cyber security. That's my research field is now. So now I am coming to my presentation. First of all, so as cyber security is concerned, so first of all, I am telling that what is cyber security. You know the different terms of network security, cyber security, information security, several terms you can heard. But what are the differences between them? That first we have to know. Actually, first we are coming to network security. Network security means we have to protect our network. Network means we have to protect my computer. Suppose my computer is connected to network, so we have to protect my computer. Suppose my mobile is connected to the network, so I have to protect my mobile phone. So, so network security is like that to protect my network only, not other things. But cyber security is like that; it can protect computer programs and data. That means as well as hardware as well as software. So, what is stored in the computer or any computing device or any mobile, that we have to secure, and as well as my device also be secure. So that's why the cyber security was terminology was came. And finally, the information security. Information security is like that to secure my information only. So what I will pass through the internet, that I have to secure. So this is the main things of the network security, cyber security, and information security. So now I coming the several reports of cyber threats and attacks. Because in the pandemic times, we know it very well. So all of we are working in from home. So we have used the internet very well. And all of we are now habituated. All of means the 70% to 80% people of India are now habituated with the surfing nets or like that. So McAfee Enterprise and FireEye reported that the finding indicates that during the pandemic, 81% of the global organization experiences increased cyber threats. And an Interpol assessment is that like that the impact of COVID-19 on cybercrime has shown a significant target shift from individual and small business to major corporation and government and critical infrastructure. So how so as the number of network users is coming, as the speeds are growing, network speeds are growing, so as well as our threats and attacks are coming. So this is one of the report that the economical loss, the economical changes was economical loss due to the cybercrime in the different year. It is in 2001 and then 2000, starting from 2001 and finally in 2019, it is more over 3,500 billions of dollars. So so this is the main this is the annual economic losses due to cybercrime. This is the one report, and I am telling just a COVID-19 period time. There is a 3 report from the report of in the year 2020, in the month of January, in the month of February, now the March, from the March as the lockdown was started in the world. So that's why the security was increased. The number of attacks is increased in that way. It is April, it was in top, and then it is again it is in down to the downward. So this is the cyber attack since the appearance of COVID-19. So now I'm coming to the artificial intelligence. So now we have to know how we will apply artificial intelligence for increasing our security, for increasing our security in our as well as in my software, whatever using in my machines or in my mobile or any computing device, and as well as how I have to secure my hardware. So what is the main properties of the artificial intelligence? So it is actually simulation of intelligence properties in machines. That means whatever the intelligence property, what are in that I have to incorporate in the machine. So machine will work as a intelligent person. So machine will be intelligent. So the science of making intelligent machines through intelligent software, and so we have to develop some software, some algorithms, or like that, so that my machines will be intelligent. The study of making machines that mimic human thinking and goes beyond what humans are capable of doing. So our target is we have to work in the AI will be work beyond the human capability, beyond the human capability. So AI is applicable in everywhere now. So now firstly, the all of the systems of the conventional system, but now all of the systems are moving from conventional system to at AI based system. So it is started from from USA and UK also. They have already started. So all the organizations have started their systems from change their conventional system to AI system. In India, it is started. It is started now. So it is a huge opportunity to all of us also. So there is a huge job will be available in AI for the AI experts. So now it is a computing evolution. How in the 1995 we know the this was our PC, and 2007 it is a smartphone, and then in 2015 it is the in the AI IoT and big data was came. So this is the computing evolution from the 1995 to 2015. So now I am telling the how the AI also evolving. So firstly, the AI is a knowledge base. AI was a knowledge base, and then the machine learning was come, the logistic regression, and then the representation learning is the auto encoder, and finally the MLP is the deep learning. So AI is also evolving. As we are evolving, AI thinking, AI technologies are also evolving. So this is why so first one is the started from AI. Now it is deep learning. Now why we are combining AI with the cyber security? What are the advantages that we have to know? So main thing is that AI is capable of handling large amounts of data. That is the main advantage of AI. That means if what types of data available to the users, if it will be given to the AI based machines, so it will give the best result. As well as data will be available, AI system will give better result. So cybersecurity experts are unable to inspect all the data because it is very tough to inspect all the data at a time or like that. So AI is the greatest option for detecting threats that is disguised as routine activities, and because of automatic nature, it can sift through the large amounts of data and traffic. So AI-based technology such as personal proxy can assist you in data transfer. So this is the one of the advantages point so that we can apply AI for cyber security. And there is a duplicate process reduced. So if any duplicate process will come to the system, so it can reduce the duplicate process. So it is another advantage thing of AI. And third one is the detection and response times are boosted. So we can detection and response time can be done in such a way that's why we can detect the attacks in real time. So for real time system, AI is the best technique. And is the third one is the authenticity protection. So your case will be safe while accessing your network, and thanks to enhanced security layer. And the final is that better vulnerability management. So vulnerability management may be added by analyzing and assessing existing security measures using AI investigation, and AI enable you to analyze system faster than the cyber security expert. So enhancing your problem solving ability significantly. So this is the 5 major advantages of AI. So now I am coming to the one of my research work. So we have applied that machine learning or AI system for authentication technique. So first of all, we have to know that what is authentication. So authentication is that we have to determine that
I think he got disconnected. Probably we will try to connect again.
Hello. I think
Are you getting, sir?
disconnected,
Yes, sir.
but he is in the line. Hello, Dr. Konar.
Hello, hello. Yes, sir. Are you getting
Your
me?
it is not just again you share your PPT.
Yeah. That I'm doing, sir.
Yes, it is fine. Hello, Mr. Konar. You are not audible.
Yes, sir. Are you getting? Hello.
It is showing your PPT, but yes, now it is now clear.
You
So,
can make it full
proceed.
screen.
Okay. Make it full screen and proceed.
Dr. Konar, you are not audible.
Dr. Konar, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Are you facing any connectivity issue?
Yes, ma'am. So whenever I am doing the full screen, the connection goes out.
So you can do one thing, you switch off your video and share your screen.
Yes, that I'm trying, ma'am. Now I'm getting me.
No, it is not
not
showing your
yet
PPT.
shared.
Yes,
Presentation is not showing.
yes,
Yes.
now it is showing.
So
Now proceed.
now I'm coming to the one of the approach that AI-based authentication. It's one of the research work of me. So here authentication will be verified. Authentication of the user will be verified by checking the writing pattern, writing habit of the user or subscriber. So how it will be done? Suppose one novel of Rabindranath Tagore was given to you, not telling that who was written or who is the author. Just one page paragraph of one novel of Rabindranath Tagore was given to you, and suppose one page of one story of Sarath Chandra Chattopadhyay was given to you. So after reading these pages written by Rabindranath Tagore and Sarath Chandra Chattopadhyay, you can easily tell that
Same problem.
Dr. Monar is facing connectivity problem. So, sir, can we request the second panelist?
Yes, I think.
Yes.
Yes, I think that Dr. Das can please take it
Can
up with the second
you-
panelist to start.
Yes, sir. There is some problem from Dr.
Okay.
Chandra.
Okay,
In case Dr.
Then-
Monar can reconnect, we can.
can we
just
proceed
share
with the
what
second
happened at the
panelist?
last.
Hello, can we proceed with second panelist?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
sir.
please.
Okay. Next, I take the privilege to introduce our second panelist today, Dr. G.S. Mitra Thakur. Mitra, he is an associate professor, Department of CSC and Program Coordinator, AI and Machine Learning, Dr. B.C. Roy Engineering College, Durgapur. Dr. Gaur Sundar Mitra Thakur is an artificial intelligence enthusiast and BOE focused facilitator of various engineering courses related to the domain of computer science and engineering and information technology. As far as his educational qualification are concerned, he is a BTech, MTech in computer science and engineering, and a PhD in intelligent system. He has almost 15 years of teaching experience in different colleges and university in the country, and he has currently working as associate professor and program coordinator of BTech in artificial intelligence and machine learning in B.C. Roy Engineering College, Durgapur. He has published his research findings in 12 international journal of reputed paper, 6 international conference, and 1 book chapter with 436 citation. He has ranked in AD Scientific Index 2021 and 2022. He has also worked as reviewer of many international journals of reputed and international conference. He is a member of IEEE and Operational Research Society of India. Dr. Mitra Thakur, now it is all over to you.
Thank you very much, Professor Das. Am I audible to you, sir?
Yes, yes, audible. Please.
Okay, so maybe I may also face some network connectivity issues. So I am keeping safe by switching my camera off.
Yes,
So
yes.
at the end, I will be switching on my camera.
And no need to be full screen. Just if it is possible.
Yeah. Just let us see.
So just
Sure. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my knowledge in AI and machine learning with so much distinguished personalities that are present here. So I'm again thankful to all of you. So without making much delay, I'm just directly coming to my presentation, and let me share my screen. And please, sir, confirm whether my screen is visible to you.
yes, it is visible. Now, in that condition, you just continue.
Yeah, sure. So as in the introduction, already it is clearly mentioned that the importance and need of AI and machine learning in today's scenario. I personally consider myself as an AI enthusiast, not at all an AI professional, because as much as I actually explore AI, more I get wondered and surprised by its strength. So there are so many things are happening around the world where AI and machine learning are being applied continuously to solve various different real life problems, and in various different areas as well. So earlier we were concerned about artificial general intelligence. Already we know that at the initial it was weak AI, then generally it became the strong AI is a concern. So that AGI was a kind of imaginary concept just 5 to 6 years ago, if I am not wrong, 10 years ago. So now we are almost have started means developing artificial general intelligence, where machines are intelligent as at part to human being. And in some cases, maybe we are moving towards the artificial super intelligence. Maybe someday we will achieve an artificial intelligence which will be superior to human intelligence as well. Now, why I'm talking about this, when I am just giving this presentation in front of you, many people are using this AI for different purposes. Suppose someone is using AI for writing a novel. Yes, I have just seen a few days back that natural language processing latest AI software, that is GPT-3, is capable of writing a novel just with a topic. If you just give the topic, it will write a whole novel. Now AI is capable of writing a research paper as well. So AI is very good in writing review papers, and someday it will be coming that AI will be writing research articles which will be accepted by very good Asia Index journals. So that day is not far enough. And it is writing poetry as well. It is it is writing new programming languages. It is writing programming for us. So it has just has become a superpower in today's scenario. And one of those superpower is AlphaFold. And I'm quite sure that many of you have heard about this. Today, I just would like to discuss the basic story behind this wonder. I will say rightly the AlphaFold to be a wonder in the field of scientific discovery. Now, what this AlphaFold is and how it is being means so much getting so much popularity. So this idea will be clear. The basic or the detailed functionality of this AlphaFold is much. It's pretty complex. It's huge thing, and it's a tedious thing to explain. So I'll just try to give a very basic story behind this. And AlphaFold basically uses a very modern neural network called transformer neural network, which is actually based on attention-based network, attention mechanism. So that particular part I will briefly introduce. So as in the introductory speech, Honorable Chairman Sir has said that this means domain is exploring and there are so many research opportunities. So I expect that after this presentation, the participants who are in the field of research, who are just going to explore their research skills in the domain of AI and machine learning to solve really real life complex problems with the help of AI. So these presentations at least can give them a space where they can explore further. That is the domain of bioinformatics. So this AlphaFold is clearly written here that it is a software which is used for protein structure prediction, highly accurate protein structure prediction. So what it does actually, so before saying that, I will just give a brief introduction that what the actual problem domain is and what actually AlphaFold is going to solve. So for this purpose, we just need a very brief introduction of what are proteins. And we all know that proteins are large biomolecules and macromolecules that comprise one or more long chains of amino acid residues. So those who are not in the biology domain currently, so we have all learned in our class 12, 10 and 12 that the proteins are actually the chains of some amino acids, and proteins perform various different functions. It's a vast array of functions within organisms, including catalyzing metabolic reactions, DNA replication, responding to stimuli, providing structure to cells and organisms, and transporting molecules from one location to another. So actually whatever we do, whatever actually human body do, maybe in our consciousness or subconsciously, because so many things our body performs which you can see, so many things our body is performing regularly which you cannot see or actually can visualize, can't visualize also, because those are taking place inside our body. So each and every action are actually governed by some kind of proteins. So proteins differ from one another primarily in their sequence of amino acids basically. So the amino acids that are there, already 20 amino acids already you can see in the table beside. So these are the amino acids, and based on these amino acids, all proteins are means developed. Actually, when I am just giving the presentation, as per my latest knowledge and internet search, I found that there are more than 220 million proteins have already been discussed, and these all of those proteins are made of this kind of made up with this amino acid chains only 20 amino acid chains. Okay, so chains with these 20 amino acids. Now proteins differ from one another primarily in the sequence of amino acids. So as the sequence will change, the protein will change. Okay, and as the protein will change, the function will change. So this is how the things are taking place, and which is dictated by the nucleotide sequence of their genes. You know, in a DNA and gene we have the nucleotide sequence, and from the nucleotide sequence we get the amino acid sequence, and this amino acid sequence actually develop the proteins. Now, which usually result in protein folding into a specific 3D structure that determines its activity. So unless and until an amino acid chain is being folded to a 3D structure, actually its function cannot be defined. So I'm again repeating this point because this is actually the problem which AlphaFold is going to solve. So sequence is there, sequence of maybe millions and billions of string, means size string, and millions and billions of amino acids are there. But those sequences are useless until and unless it is being folded to a 3D structure. Okay, so when an amino acid sequence getting a folded structure, the 3D structure, then actually it starts performing something. Then its functionality is defined. Okay, now these are the various functions that proteins performs, and those famous, the popular functions are antibodies, and you know that antibody bind specific foreign particles we call antigens, such as viruses and bacteria, to help and protect our body. And now actually this AlphaFold that I'm talking about, this AlphaFold is having two versions. I will come to that, AlphaFold 1 and AlphaFold 2. This AlphaFold 2 was actually developed to predict the structure of COVID virus, actually, okay, COVID-2 virus. Now SARS-CoV-2 virus. So other than antibody, it is having an enzyme, which is also a protein, kind of protein. It's having messenger, some structural component, then transport, storage. So these are the basically basic functionalities of proteins. Now, you know, one thing has to be remembered very well. It all depends upon the structure, the 3D structure of that particular protein. So as the structure changes, the function is going to change in a lot, in a great extent. So the structure, the 3D structure of protein is very much vital here. Now, you know, the protein structure is actually three-dimensional arrangement of atoms in an amino acid chain molecule. Now, to be able to perform the biological function, as I've told, protein folds into one or more specific spatial conformations. Actually, this is called conformations. Once these amino acid chains or amino acid molecules are getting folded to give a structure, it's called a conformation. Now, driven by a number of non-covalent interactions such as hydrogen bonding, ionic interaction, van der Waals forces, and hydrophobic packing. Now, to our surprise, that still, if I am not wrong, still there is, it is not clear that what are all the different forces, what are all those different criteria or features that are actually responsible for folding a protein. So these are actually the reasons that are that scientists believe, but still there are some doubts, maybe something else, and still how these things are actually doing the things, still the specific idea, the clear idea is not ready, I think. So it is really a very much complex process biologically, and when I will discuss a paradox, then that idea will be much more clear. To understand the function of proteins at a molecular level, it is often necessary to determine their three-dimensional structure, as I have said. Now, there are four different structures of proteins. One is the primary structure, that is nothing but the amino acid sequence. You can see that A part, this is the primary structure, and these amino acid sequence are actually hidden, are actually given, means there in the secondary structure, that is called the helix structure, alpha helix, beta sheet. There are different structures, the secondary structures are there. Now, these individual secondary structures are actually arranged in a longer polypeptide chain. So it's a peptide we call, that is a tertiary structure. So when a secondary structure is actually means shown in a particular peptide, an individual peptide, when it folds into it, it's called a tertiary structure. And finally, this kind of so many tertiary structures, these type of peptides, are combined to give a quaternary structure that we call to be a polypeptide. And this quaternary structure actually exists, and it gives a shape of a particular protein and performs the biological activities. Now, what is actually protein structure prediction? Now I am coming to the problem actually. Now, protein structure prediction is the reference of three-dimensional structure of a protein from its amino acid sequence. Means that is the prediction of a secondary and tertiary structure from primary structure. So our target is that this chain is given to us, this primary structure amino acid sequence is there with us, and our target is to predict this secondary and tertiary structure. Okay, so am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Just in between, I will just confirm whether my network is lost or not. Okay, thank you so much. Now, our target is to just predict the secondary and tertiary structure from this primary structure. This is the problem. Now, protein structure prediction is one of the most important goals pursued by computational biology. So there are and it is important in medicine as well, for drug design, vaccine design as well, and biotechnology, for design of different kind of novel enzymes that are used in biotechnological experience, and as well as for different biological understanding and means therapy or kind of medicine, so as I already said. So this understanding the protein structure beforehand is a kind of indispensable or important thing, most important part now for this bioinformatic and this industry, because if we can predict the 3D structure of a particular means protein beforehand, just from its amino acid sequence, we will get a lot of information that how that particular protein is going to function in human body or any particular biological space. Now, there are still a few thousand proteins in human alone whose function is unknown. Now, this is the part that I'm going to address, and this is where actually this super power of AI is going to be utilized. There are still few thousand proteins in humans alone, only in humans, whose function is still unknown. Now, what are the challenges in protein predicting protein structure from amino acid sequence? The main thing is that the small perturbations, a small change in the sequence of a protein can drastically change the protein shape and even render it useless. So if its sequence is changed in a little bit, the protein structure will be changed. Okay, and as well as protein structure gets changed, function is going to change. So another reason why protein structure prediction is so difficult is because a polypeptide is very flexible. Okay. Now, with this ability to rotate in multiple ways at each amino acid, which means that the polypeptide is able to fold into a staggering number of different shapes. Okay, these things can be understood with the help of an analogy. Like all of us are aware of, means all of us have seen the Rubik's cube, isn't it? So Rubik's cube can be rotated in any direction from any particular part, any particular axis. So same thing like that. So whenever I just rotate a Rubik's cube, structure changes, the color configuration changes. In the same way, when I rotate, if I rotate a particular sequence through a particular amino acid, then the structure is going to change. So it has to be very much sensitive, very much accurate whenever we are going to predict a particular protein structure. Now, protein folding problem is that the protein consists of chains of amino acids which spontaneously fold in a process called protein folding to form three-dimensional structure of the protein. Okay, and we will be surprised to know that when a protein amino acid sequence is determined in our human body, it folds in a millisecond. It just folds in a millisecond of time, and the 3D structure is crucial to the biological function of the protein. However, understanding how the amino acid sequence can determine the 3D structure is highly challenging and is actually called protein folding problem. And it is the problem in which the researchers, the biologists, the computer experts, the physicists are working over the last 60 to 70 years on this particular problem. And I will give you the statistics, that what is the statistics before the AlphaFold was discovered. Now, the protein folding problem involves understanding the thermodynamics of the interatomic forces. We all know that determine the folded stable structure, the mechanism and the pathway through which the protein can reach its final folded state with extreme rapidity, and how the native structure of a protein can be predicted from its amino acid sequence. So this is actually the protein folding problem. I think that it is that not only the 3D structure, but also in a small amount of time we have to do it. Now, this is the thing I was going to tell you, why this problem is considered to be complex. There is a paradox called Levinthal's paradox. It is said like that: suppose a polypeptide with n amino acids. So I told you that there are 20 types of amino acids. So suppose if a polypeptide is with n amino acids, we'll have n minus what peptide bonds like this. It is, you can see the means diagram on the right hand side, and meaning that its shape is influenced by n minus 1 phi angles and n minus 1 psi angles. These phi and psi angles are actually the arrangement angles of a protein in a particular 3D structure. So this is a detailed thing. I'm not going into that in much detail, but these are the different things, different angles in which the atoms are arranged. So n-1 phi angles and n-1 psi angles. Now, if each bond has k stable conformations, then there are k to the power 2n-2 total possible conformations of the polypeptide. Now see how the numbers are getting huge. Now, for example, if k is equal to 3 and n is equal to only 100, so 100 length amino acid, 100 length amino acid sequence is a very small protein. Rather than a small protein are having the lakhs and millions of proteins are there. Amino acids are there in a particular means large or medium sized proteins. So if there is equal to only 100, then the number of potential protein structure is more than the number of atoms in the universe. So this is what is the size of the problem. So if the k is equal to 3 and n is equal to only 100, then the number of potential means different types of structure, possible structure, is more than the number of atoms in the universe. It's huge. So if just a protein can fold in milliseconds, in our human body, you know that a protein folds in milliseconds, but the time it takes to calculate all possible structures randomly, if I just try to computationally try to find out the possible structure randomly in a random way to determine the true native structure, it will take the longer than the age of the universe, a billion years to solve. So this is where the problem was actually before the computational intelligence was applied. But then was it not getting solved earlier? Yes, some researches was there, and some experimental methodologies are there like X-ray crystallography, cryogenic electron microscopy, like we call cryo-EM, nuclear magnetic resonance, NMR. So these methodologies are there already, were there already before the computational methods were applied or AI was applied. Now, over the previous 60 years with these methods, we were able to structure only, not only, it's a handy number, 1,70,000 proteins. So the structure of 1,70,000 proteins were predicted over the last 60 years. Over the last 60 years, where there are over 200 million known proteins across all life forms, that is already discovered. So we have only, you can get the percentage that over the last 60 years, we are able to structure only 1,70,000 proteins. Now over the years, maybe 10 to 15 years, researchers have applied numerous computational methods to resolve the issue of protein structure prediction, but their accuracy has not been close to the experimental techniques except for small simple proteins, thus limiting their value. So before the AlphaFold, why I'm just talking about this, means given the example of AlphaFold. Before AlphaFold, the most efficient computational methodologies were able to predict the structure of a protein accurately up to 40 to 60% accuracy, not more than that. Only 40 to 60% accuracy, and we can easily understand that with that particular accuracy we cannot get a much big decision with the help of that particular accuracy. So the improving accuracy was a great need of all the time. Now then AlphaFold came. Now AlphaFold basically is a AI program, that is an AI deep learning system, we can say, developed by Google's DeepMind. I think all of you have heard this company, this Google's DeepMind, which performs prediction of protein structure, and the program is designed as a deep learning system. So it's a deep learning neural network, and with transformer and attention mechanism that I briefly try to tell that particular thing. Now a team of researchers that use this AlphaFold 1 in 2018. So this AlphaFold is having two versions. One is AlphaFold 1 and AlphaFold 2. Okay, so there is a competition that holds twice every year, where the different scientists and researchers around the world actually showcase their protein structure prediction model to predict the structure of protein. So that particular competition, we call that competition to be CASP, Critical Assessment of Techniques of for protein structure prediction. Okay, and this AlphaFold 1 was first showcased in the year of December 2018. Okay, and the program was particularly successful at predicting most accurate structure for targets rated as the most difficult by competition organizers, where no existing template structure were available from proteins with partially similar sequence. Now you all know that basically machine learning learns from data. It is supervised and unsupervised. In the case of the supervised machine learning, some already label, a defined label is given with the data, and just the model learns the accuracy by matching the model with the label itself in the training phase. And finally, once the training is over, then it is actually executed in the with the validation data or validation set, and finally it is deployed in a real life problem. And if there is kind of some modification and changes are there, that is done or tuned accordingly. But you know, a complex problem like this, like protein folding, protein structure prediction, there is at the time there is very less data were available, and this AlphaFold 1 was able to perform in a particular in a much accurately where no existing template structure were available from proteins. So it was just trying to develop its own structure. So there was no guiding data, no level data with which it can learn directly. But obviously the structure was there, because 1,70,000 protein structure is already developed. So those data were there. But for a particular type, suppose if I am talking about, if I am just predicting the structure of an enzyme, so no enzyme data were given for learning that particular model, but it successfully has predicted that. Then in 2022, actually AlphaFold 2 was participated in latest challenge in 2022, CASP's global challenge, global distance test, GDT, and the final paper was published, that the most famous paper nowadays in the domain of this in Nature in the 15th July, I think 15th July 2020 the paper was published, and final paper was published of AlphaFold 2. Now this repeated the placement of CSP competition in November 2022, and it scored above 90. This is a success. It scored above 90 for around 2/3 of the predictions protein structure in CSP global distance test. This is far ahead from the other computational programs that predicted the structure. So you can see here that the test measures the degree to which a computational program predicted structure is similar to the lab experimented determined structure, with 100 being a complete match. So when 100 being a complete match, AlphaFold 2 was able to give a match to up to 90. So it was 90% accurate. So this was the success, and obviously in the domain where earlier 40 to 60% accuracy was achieved, and AlphaFold was suddenly given an accuracy up to 90. Now AlphaFold 2's result at CASP were described as astounding and transformational, because at that time that much accuracy is never imagined at all. Some researchers also noted that accuracy is not high enough for a third of its predictions. Means in 100, 30 to 33 predictions were not that much satisfactory. So 33% predictions were not satisfactory up to that particular level, but rest of them were good. 2/3 predictions were super. So some criticisms are also there, always there, but it is widespread respected in today's world, and surprisingly it is predicting the structure of a protein in days, maybe if I am not wrong, in one day. It is already after the discovery, after the successful implementation of AlphaFold 2, more than 1 lakh, or I think 1 and 2 lakhs proteins have a structure have already been predicted. I was seeing just recently more than 2 lakhs protein structure has already been predicted by AlphaFold 2. So 1,70,000 structure was predicted experimentally over the last 60 years, and in this 2 not 2 years already, means 1.5 years, it has predicted the structure of 2 lakhs proteins. So this is the success. And the basic idea behind it is the deep learning algorithm, and DeepMind is known to have trained the program over 1,70,000 proteins that already structures are there, and this database is open database, PDB, open protein database is there, PDB. So where the structure of all these 1,70,000 proteins are available publicly for a protein sequencing structure problem. And this problem actually uses the attention network, that is a deep learning technique that focus on having the AI algorithm identify parts of a larger problem, okay? Then piece it together to obtain the overall solution. Now the basic difference between AlphaFold 1 and AlphaFold 2, we can say that AlphaFold 2 there were contain a number of modules, and each module will trained using RNN and other deep learning neural networks that were used to produce a guide potential that was then combined with a physics-based energy potential to get a final structure. But in AlphaFold 2, replace this system with a system of sub networks coupled together into a single differentiable end-to-end model. So it has now become a single model. I will give an input and I will get the output finally. So there is no intermediate interactions is required, or human interactions are required, based entirely on pattern recognition, which was trained in an integrated way of a single integrated structure. Now this is the overall structure of this AlphaFold 2, and to be very frankly, this understanding the structure, this structure is a tedious thing, but I will just try to give a brief overview. So here you can see in the left the protein sequence, that amino acid sequence is given, and there are some genetic science and embedding things are there. So these things are given in a transformer input, the basic transformer neural network. I will just discuss this transformer neural network in a brief after this slide. Now before I give the input to a transformer model, it is some embeddings and the encoding is done before giving the input to the structure. Now what it is done here, you can see there, you cannot see this MSA embedding, this is a multi-sequence alignment embedding is done. Now this is the mechanism which transformer, you can see there are the amino acid residues. So all the residues are given in as a kind of a vector, you can say. Now there is a position vector and relation vector. Two types of vectors are generated. Position vector means that how the amino acid sequence are positioned in relative to each other, okay? And relational vector is there also, that how the amino acids residues are related to each other. So two different vectors are there. Suppose I am just giving an example. Suppose here the sentence is written in a first bullet, AlphaFold 2 has 2 key modules based on transformer design. So suppose if I am thinking this each and every word to be amino acid residue. So AlphaFold 2 is amino acid residue, amino acid has is an amino acid, 2 key molecules. These are all individual amino acids. Now, as the word, in this particular sentence, as the words are having a relation between them, in the same way, suppose has word has a relation with module, has 2 words has a relation with base, based on the semantic structure of this particular sentence in English. So this is a kind of, I can represent the relative, I can give a relative, the relative score based on the relations between each and every word in a particular sentence. This is called a relational vector, I can say. And another thing is that positional measurement. Positional measurement means, suppose the meaning of a particular word may change from position to position. Suppose when a sentence, suppose an AlphaFold 2 is in the first, so it is meaning a particular thing. It is working as a kind of a representation. And when AlphaFold 2 will be positioned in 5th or 6th position in a particular sentence, then the exact meaning may vary what it is being said. So based on the relative positions, another vector is also given. So when this kind of vector positions, these two vectors are prepared, then these two are given to a transformer network. So we can see that these modules are used progressively defining a vector of information for each relationship. As you know that relationship is nothing but an edge in a graph theory terminology. So between an amino acid residue of the protein and another amino acid residue of the protein. So I already told that in a particular sequence, in a particular amino acid sequence, each and amino acids having a relations with each other. So that particular phase is considered with the help of this upper transformer neural network. So this red transformer neural network, and between each amino acid position. So as I told you, two types of things are there based on the relative relations between them and based on the positions where they are positioned. So based on that, each amino acid positions and each different sequence in input sequence alignment. So when the sequence alignment is given based on the position. So two transformer neural network are there. One is a red color. This is for this first part, and this is the green transformer, which is actually for this second part. And based on this output of this particular two transformer, so many things happen. To be very frank, in between there are so many things are there based on these working mechanisms. So many inputs are there. How these codes are being there. You can see there that this is a matrix. This is actually called the the confidence matrix or relational matrix, where each and every amino acid, how they are related based on the strength of that particular thing, that matrix is generated. More deep, more red means highly related, faded means less related amino acids. In the same way, this deep green means highly positionally related, and the faded green means less positionally related things. So based on that, when the amino acid residues are coming out from there, each and amino acids in a particular sequence we are having a score that how each and every one can be related. Now based on that, so this model is trained to a particular feed forward neural network, because in a transform mechanism, and after that it produces the generates the score, that how it is how much accurate it is from the training data, that is already 1,70,000 data, and from there it try to predict the angles. I told you now alpha means angles are there, psi angles are there. So these angles, it predicts those angles, and based on those angles, the 3D structure of the protein is actually determined. Now this attention mechanism is the strength of this particular transformer module, the transformer neural network. And if I am not wrong, this is the latest kind of neural network that is in the experimentation today, the attention based transformer neural network. All those neural network like RNN, CNN, GAN, those are now becoming kind of obsolete things. Those are used for small scale problem solving, but for typical complex problem solving, these things like highly complex satellite image processing, you can say this, or this protein structure prediction data, or huge kind of means what I can say that space data. So there actually this complex, this type of attention mechanism, language processing I'm talking about. So this type of attention based transformer neural network is used, and the concept of attention mechanism is more or less similar to human attention mechanism. I'm just very briefly, I know that I'm running out of time, so very briefly I am telling that this attention mechanism is similar to our own human attention mechanism. Suppose if I ask you just to look at this picture, look at this image, what is there in front of you, and if I just try to tell you that so then after that, if I just ask you to close your eyes, then what are the things you can remember without just seeing the image now? What are the things you can see? You can say that there were two red squares, two green square, and at the right there were kind of means blue 3D structure kind of tape kind of thing. So in this particular image, there were so many things, but we were able to remember only those red, green, and the tape. because we are more attentive when we are looking at that particular image. We are more attentive to those things, and this attention in image comes based on the resolution, the age of the image, and actually my intention based on which I am doing. So in the same way, when a particular neural network is given with a sequence of input, all input tokens are not of same importance. Okay, so it remembers whenever an input is given sequentially to the neural networks, each and every token is given a kind of attention score based on its relation with other tokens or the other words or other amino acid, and all those scores are stored in a particular vector, in a particular matrix. And when the decoding phase comes in the neural network, and it checks with its previous output and check what is the relation with the current the data that is coming with the previous output, and from there it checks what is the attention measure, attention score of that particular thing, and based on that score it selects. Now you can go to the internet and search for GPT-3 story writer kind of thing. There, if you type that I saw a big elephant in the street, so just give a full stop, and after that it will write average size paragraph of story. Like it will write that the elephant was coming out from the jungle, then it had a long tail and two big long tusks, and it was just coming behind me so rapidly, I was so much afraid. So how these sentences are getting generated based on the attention mechanism only. It is generating word after word based on the relations between the previous sentence, and the story is getting generated. So this is the basic idea behind this attention based mechanism, and this transformer transformer mechanism is actually used this particular attention based mechanism. So this is the transformer model, and this transformer model was first developed for natural language processing that I have already said. And you can say that it is having two parts, one is encoder, another is decoder, and so many different modules are there. So this is the input embedding, positional and relational embedding. Once these two are done, this is actually given to the encoder, and there are multi-headed attention. So attention vectors are created and compared multiple times. So that is where it is called multi-headed attention mechanism. And then some normalizations is taken, done, and that particular result is given to a feed-forward neural network for learning purpose, to generating weight to that particular neural network, and given to the input of this multi-headed attention to the decoder. And this actually goes on one clock cycle behind. One clock cycle behind means when I am decoding my current output, it is actually checking the attention score of the previous output. So based on these two things, combining these two things, it actually generates the score for the next output. So it in this way, these things goes on and repeatedly it gives a linear output. With the help of finally the softmax function, it gives the output probabilities based on which the output is given. For a natural language processing, it is gives the probability of suitable words which is to be applied, and for protein folding problem, the position of the suitable probability of positioning of a particular amino acid in that particular domain. Okay, so this is how the things actually works, and I'm very honest to say again that this model, these things are much more complex than this particular thing. But I think this idea will give a particular interest that to go further in this particular domain and read and research in this area and utilize this powerful neural network that we are having today in our hand. And this is not a kind of experimental thing. This is not a theory anymore. Google has proved with the help of his AlphaFold 2 that this is possible. And already GPT-3 in NLP, I already told you, which are writing stories, novels, research papers by their own. So AI is doing everything. So you just can go further, study further in this particular domain to get more ideas and to contribute to this field by solving more and more complex research problems. And for this particular presentation, I have taken help of this particular references. And thank you so much. If you have any question, you can ask.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. Ma'am, hello. Is there any question in YouTube? Hello. Any question? Ma'am, hello. Hello, ma'am. Is it audible? Hello.
Yeah, it is audible.
Is it audible to you? Hello. Ma'am. Hello. Okay, so thank
No
you
question.
very much.
No question.
Okay.
You carry on.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. You have really lightened up a new area of research in the visualization of this machine language in a new direction. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation.
Thank
Now,
you, sir.
I take the privilege to welcome Mr. Vishnu Mukherjee. First, our panelist. Okay, Mr. Vishnu Mukherjee. Vishnu Mukherjee is a statistician and data scientist who has more than 14 years of experience in the field of statistical analysis, machine learning, deep learning, and artificial intelligence across different domains. He has mostly worked on R&D and solutioning division of different organizations where he had led initiatives to computerize and develop services and products to solve issues in domains of retail, CPG, hospitalities, manufacturing, automobiles, and aviation. He is currently employed at Tata Consultancy Service, TCS. Vishwarup has research interest and experience in the areas of stochastic process and modeling, ensemble based classification method, unsupervised learning, AI-based fault detection in machines, and concern in connected vehicles, and AI-based quality control products. I would like to request Mr. Mukherjee to start his presentation. Mr. Mukherjee,
Yes.
it's all over to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Dr. Vimal Das, for introducing me, and thanks to all the organizers, Mr. Shafiqul Islam, Mr. Manush Majumdar, Mr. Amit Kumar Das. I don't know whether Mr. Thakre, Dr. Thakre and Dr. Ranganathan are present or not. So thanks a lot to all the organizers. So let me share my screen. And let me put my video off. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
So is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. So initially, I was thinking about delivering something, some work on, I mean, very cutting edge work, maybe on computer vision. But later I thought that I will talk about unsupervised learning, where I will talk about some challenges, some typical, may not be typical actually, some challenges we face in different domains and what can be the way out. Okay. So this would be the flow of my discussion, flow of this presentation. That is, I will briefly talk about what is unsupervised learning and then what is cluster analysis. Then I will talk about 3 challenges. So one is from the domain of automobiles, the other one is in the domain of CPG, it's in the field of marketing analytics, and the third one is from healthcare. So here in all of these problems, we have used unsupervised learning, and we had some challenge where the algorithm cannot be used in a straightforward way, barring the last one. Last one was not that much difficult. Okay, some challenge was there, but anyway, I will come to that later. So what is unsupervised learning? So machine learning in the classical form, like we say that machine learning basically has 2 different parts. If I do not consider reinforcement learning, then barring reinforcement learning, machine learning has 2 main broad classes. One is supervised learning, the other one is unsupervised learning. So in supervised learning, we have some variable, which is the target variable, and we have a different set of variables, which are the independent variables, which are called features, which are called explanatory variables. So we use this set of variables, these explanatory variables or the features, to predict the target variable. So that is what is called supervised learning. So all the things like starting from regression and classification techniques and all these gradient boost machines, about vector machine, and many deep learning techniques. So whenever we have a target variable which we are trying to predict using some other variables we have, then that becomes a problem of supervised learning. Unsupervised learning is the problem when we do not have any target variable, and the algorithm, the set of techniques, I mean the algorithm learns patterns based on the data set without any target variable. So no target variable is there. So there are different examples of unsupervised learning. So it can be data reduction as well. So where we can club similar kinds of variables, similar kinds of features. It can be about clubbing similar kind of observations. So if I have a data where I have observations, so imagine a spreadsheet kind of thing where structured data is kept, where the rows are the observations and the columns are the features, and we have values in each of the cells. So there we have a set of features. We have, I mean, I could be using the word feature, the term feature and variable interchangeably. So we have a set of features, but we don't have any feature which can be considered as target variable for solving the objective we have in hand. Okay, the objective which has to be solved doesn't need any target variable. So an example you can see here, suppose suppose in an e-commerce portal, we want to get different groups of customers considering their browsing behavior. Okay, so what all pages they have viewed, how much time they have spent on each of the pages, how much time they in general spend on each of the pages, what all categories they have visited, at which time of the day they entered into the portal. So if we have all this data, using all this data, what we are trying to do, we are trying to club observations, club people, I mean club visitors of the e-commerce portal in different groups. so that visitors belonging to same group would be similar to each other. Okay. So suppose after the whole exercise is done, after the algorithm is run and all the methods of best practices are done, we decided to group, we get 3 groups. Okay. So in all these 3 groups, these 3 groups can be different than each other. That is in fact expected, but all the respondents, all the visitors belonging to same group are expected to be similar to each other. So that is how we are trying to group similar people, and that can be useful for further business to target them for a particular product, to target them to see like which group bought a particular gadget or not, which group buy something else. So business objective can be different, but the primary thing what we are trying to do is like we are trying to get different groups. Okay, so these groups are called clusters. So cluster analysis is an umbrella of techniques which club observations into different groups. Okay, based on extent of similarity among observations, and as I already mentioned, so these groups are called clusters. One other term we use that is called segment. So when we use segment, we usually use this term segment when we are talking little bit from the business side. So basically segmentation can be done without applying any machine learning or statistical method as well. So one can simply, if you have a set of people, then maybe you can divide them into segments based on based on some cutoff of age. Okay, maybe you can divide them in different groups based on gender. Okay, or maybe income levels. Okay, so that can be done without using any statistical or machine learning methodology, any techniques. But cluster analysis, this cluster word we use when we are using some particular algorithm and we are trying to divide these people in a more scientific way. And when dividing people is not very easy, we don't have any set of variables which can be simply used to divide people in different groups. And when I say people, it is definitely not always people. It can be any observation. It can be different time points where in a manufacturing industry where we have multiple sensors fitted in a machine or maybe in a engine of an aircraft, and we are getting observations, we are getting values being captured by different sensors. Okay, so based on that I can try to club similar observations, similar time points. Okay, when values of different sensors were more similar to each other, more or less close to each other. Okay, I mean not among sensors, from different time points. The other, I mean, it can be any, it can be applied on any observations, any set of observations. So that is about cluster analysis. So cluster analysis are broadly of different types. So one type is of distance-based cluster analysis. That is the most basic type of cluster analysis, where different observations are clusters, are grouped. Clustering happens based on the distances which are there among themselves. Okay. So I would be in the examples. If I go to the previous slide, here you can see that I have mentioned 3 different techniques of cluster analysis. So these 3 techniques are again coming from 3 different classes of techniques. Okay. So the first one is coming from distance-based cluster analysis. The second one is coming from model-based cluster analysis. And the third one is coming from density-based cluster analysis. I will not get into a lot of statistics, a lot of mathematics, and a lot of theoretical part of machine learning. But what I will do, I will talk a little bit about the concept, and then I will talk about the challenge, and then I will show you some results. Okay. So here the problem is about, don't go by the title as of now. So look at the objective. So there is a so motor vehicles department of a country needs to get clusters of hundreds of different models of cars cars and create different groups from the perspective of safety. Okay. Accordingly, they have to make some strategy. They need to decide upon maximum speed limit permitted to different groups of clusters. Okay. So think about our country, India. So we have hundreds of models of cars. And when I say car, I am including SUVs as well. Think about developed countries, there would be more number of models of available in market. So what motor vehicle wants to do, they want to classify, they want to do segmentation, they want to get some groupings. That is nothing but clusters of those cars, and they will have some decision about maximum speed limit for each of those clusters. Each cars belonging to each of those clusters. Okay. So what is the challenge? So here we have two types of features. Okay, features means the independent variables. Okay, so here we have two types of features. That is, one type is technical. Okay, so for example, like maximum force in brakes, engine capacity, battery temperature. In fact, when I talk about technical features, so it would be much more. The number of variables would be in the order of hundreds, because especially if we consider modern cars which are connected, so connected vehicles if we consider, so there we will have sensors fitted in every possible component, which keeps on capturing temperature, pressure, impurity in lubricant, impurity in fuel. So different things those sensors will keep on capturing, and that data it will be transmitting to a central repository through internet, right? So that's why we call such vehicles connected vehicles. So in case of connected vehicles, the technical features would be in the order of hundreds. So the other kind of features we have are shape related. So when it is about shape related, it can be something related to, because for vehicles like aerodynamics is very important. So shape related can be like simple, like length of the car, breadth of the car, height of the car. Okay, angle of inclination of the front glass, ground clearance. So all the things mostly which are related to shape, the external part of the car. Okay, so you can consider weight of the car as well. So these are the two basic different types of variables we have. And if we do cluster analysis taking all features at one go, then we get clusters where cars belonging to same cluster are similar by some aspect, but dissimilar by some other aspects. Okay. So let me take an example. Suppose I will not take name of any brand or any company, any car maker, but think about two sedans. Okay, one sedan is a value for money car, which is suppose price of that sedan is say 10 lakh rupees in Indian currency, 10 lakh INR. And there is another company, they also have a sedan, and that particular sedan is, suppose price of that sedan is 50 lakhs INR. Okay, so you can very well understand the sedan which is priced at 50 lakhs INR, that is a premium car. And the sedan which is priced at 10 lakhs INR, that is a value for money car. Okay, so in these two sedans, suppose length is more or less same, or maybe some difference is there in length, but breadth is more or less same, height is more or less same. Suppose angle of inclination of the front glass is more or less same. So these shape related features are more or less same. So then what will happen? If I run an algorithm of cluster analysis, it is highly likely that both of these cars will fall in the same cluster. I will repeat this example again. So if I run an algorithm of cluster analysis, what is likely is that both of these cars which is one is a VFM value for money sedan, and the other one is a premium sedan. Both of these cars will fall in the same cluster, while there are big differences from the technical aspect. The premium sedan might have very high-tech features from the safety angle, very high-tech features from the comfort aspect. Okay, it might have anti-skid tires, which is not there in the value for money sedan. The premium sedan might have intelligent air conditioning system within the cabin, which this value for money sedan may not have. So technical aspects can be very much advanced in the value for money sedan, while the shape related aspects can be similar in both of the sedans. So what can happen if I run cluster analysis taking all the variables at one go, then I might get my algorithm, the iterations of the algorithm might get dominated by the set of variables which are more in number, say shape related variables maybe, and I might see that these two cars are falling in same cluster. Okay, as of now, please consider that say number of shape related variables is higher, okay, than number of variables, technical variables. Okay. Usually in case of connected vehicles, it would be other way around. Number of technical variables would be higher. So what is the solution? We can use canonical variables. Now, before getting into what are canonical variables and what is the cluster, I mean, a little bit technical about how cluster analysis happens, I will briefly explain this. So let us talk about K-means cluster analysis. So K-means cluster analysis is one of the very, very basic methods of cluster analysis, and which is mostly done using Euclidean distances among different observations. So you can look at the scatter plot. So for sake of simplicity, I have drawn a scatter plot in a 2D space. So assume that the horizontal and vertical axis are two features, and our data has only two features, which is not usual case, but a high dimensional data we cannot visualize easily. Anyway, so these are the dots you can see. These are the dots which I mean represent which are plotted based on their corresponding value in the x-axis and y-axis in the horizontal and vertical axis, and this is how this scatter plot is created. So if I run K-means cluster analysis, what will happen? What it does? It will arbitrarily suppose, okay, so the first thing is I need to give input of how many clusters I am looking for. So if while running the algorithm, if I key in k equals to 3, that is, I am looking for 3 cluster solution, then what it will do, it will arbitrarily choose. Is there any question? I heard some voice. Okay. So if I key in k equals to 3, then arbitrarily the program will choose 3 points which are colored, which are shown here by red dots, and all the other observations, distances, Euclidean distances of all the other observations will get measured from each of these 3 dots, 3 red dots. Okay. So if I suppose you consider this point, so what will happen? I will, this point will get, so you consider this point arbitrarily. So what will happen? We will consider this distance, we will consider this distance. Sorry. Okay, let it be. So this is the way we will consider distance of this particular point from all the 3 red dots which are there. Okay, and this observation will get assigned to the cluster where the distance is minimum. Okay, so that is how K-means first iteration of K-means cluster analysis will happen. And after we get the first set of clusters, Okay, then we will get centroids of this cluster. So centroids of these clusters are can be calculated in a very simple way. So considering a 2D plot, you can simply get average of all the abscissas and average of all the ordinates. Okay, so if consider this cluster, you can consider abscissa of all the points falling in this cluster and get the average of that, arithmetic mean of that. You can consider ordinate of all the points falling in this cluster and get the arithmetic mean of that. So that gives you the coordinate of the centroid. So in the next iteration, you can see, if you look at the second diagram, second scatter plot, you can see that the plot remains same. I mean, all the blue dots remain same, no changes there, but the red dots have shifted. So the centroid has got shifted. Okay. So once this centroid gets shifted, again, we measure distances of all the points. So suppose if you see that this particular point was I earlier got clubbed within this cluster because the distance was minimum here. Okay. So here if we dot 3 distances, this is the minimum one. Now after this centroids got these reference points got shifted, when we find distances, when we find equilibrium distance of the same point, we see that this point in the second iteration gets clubbed to this particular cluster. So this is what happens in K-means cluster analysis in successive iterations, and iterations get stopped when no reclassifications are there. And there are some methodologies of choosing initial reference points so that number of iterations is minimal. Okay, so this is about K-means cluster analysis. I'm sure many of you already know about it. Now, what are canonical variables? So canonical variables, so think about two sets of variables, two sets of random variables. Is there any question? I heard some sound. Okay. So think about two sets of random variables, x1, x2 till xm and y1, y2 till yn. So these are the two batteries of random variables. Like we have in our problem, two different batteries of random variables. One are from technical aspect, the other set of variables are from the shape related aspects. Okay. So and the other criteria is assume that these variables are correlated among themselves. Okay. So canonical correlation analysis produces multiple pairs of canonical variables. Okay. So the first pair of canonical variable would be one canonical variable we will get from the first set, that is the xs and one x1 to xm, and the second canonical variable I will get from the other set of random variables, that is y1, y2 till yn. Okay. Please note that m and n, two different numbers are there. Okay. It is not necessary that you have to have equal number of variables in both of the batteries. It is not necessary. So the first canonical variable would be a linear combination of x1, x2, x3 till xm. And the second canonical variable would be a linear combination of y1, y2, y3 till yn. Okay. So these are the two canonical variables we can get that will consist my first pair of canonical variables. And how, I mean, what would be the coefficients of those linear combinations? When I say linear combination, of course, some coefficients are there, right? So how can I get those coefficients? So the criteria for which, based on which I need to get coefficients is the first pair of linear combinations will have maximum possible correlation among themselves. So you assume that suppose CVX1 and CVY2, please look at the bottom part of my slide, say CVX1 and CVY1. So that is the first pair of canonical variables. So CVX1 is coming from the random variables x1, x2 till xm, and CVY1 is coming from the random variables. There is a typo, pardon me please. So this would be y1, y2, y3 till yn. Okay. So these are the random variables. Okay. from where I am getting this CVY1. So these are the two linear combinations. Now, estimation of these coefficients, this A0, A1, A2 starting, and also B0, B1, B2, and all these coefficients will happen in a way so that the correlation between CVX1 and CVY1 is maximum possible. Okay, so that is how all these mathematical, all these optimizations will take place, and we will get two artificially created variables which are called canonical variables. Similarly, after we get this, we can get another pair of canonical variables which are my second pair of canonical variables. Okay, so there the coefficients would be different, and we will those canonical variables will again be a linear combination of x's and y's, but a different linear combination, which means the coefficients would be different. Okay, and again the condition remains that the correlation between CVX2 and CVY2 would be next to the maximum possible. The maximum possible was for the first pair, and the next possible correlation would be for the second pair. Okay, and so on. We can get subsequent pairs of canonical correlations. That's not all. The other criteria is that the correlation between CVX1 and CVX2 has to be 0. Correlation between CVY1 and CVY2 has to be 0. So these are the constraints, these are the conditions which are to be satisfied, and accordingly these parameters are to be estimated. What are the parameters? These coefficients. Okay, so in terms of statistics, so these parameters are the these coefficients are the parameters, right? So this is how these parameters are to be estimated. Okay, so why this condition, why this criteria of 0 correlation is there between CVX1 and CVX2 and also CVY1 and CVY2? Because to ensure that these variables are portraying respect to the data. Okay? So canonical correlation, I think some disturbances are there. Okay, now it is gone. So canonical, so these variables CVX1, CVY1, so these artificially created variables are called canonical variables. So these help us in reducing the data, and if we look at the coefficients of the CVX1, CVY1, I mean all these canonical variables, we will see, suppose if I compare CVX1 and CVX2, I would see that some of the coefficients will have higher magnitude in CVX1, some others will have higher magnitude in CVX2. So representation of different variables in these newly created variables could be different. Okay, and if we use these variables, these artificially created variables for cluster analysis, instead of using the original variables, original random variables, then we get results which are less confusing, which are interpretable, which are easily interpretable. So results by running k-means on all variables. Here you can see that we ended up with 2 clusters. We used all the methods of using scree plots to choose optimum cluster solution, and we ended up with 2 cluster solutions. So what I have done, I have used some Y data sets and
oh, Secretary sir,
Yes.
mute yourself.
Yes.
It creates some noise.
okay. So what we have done. So here you can see we have categorized the values in high, medium, and low. So actually we have numerical values of all these variables. And after we ran cluster analysis, we got 2 cluster solution as the optimum cluster solution. And here you can see that the first cluster solution consists of sedans and SUVs. Okay, where the maximum force in brakes is high, engine capacity is high. You can see that length is high, breadth is high. Okay. The other cluster is of hatchbacks along with some other types of cars, which includes sedans and possibly SUVs as well, where most of the values are medium. Okay. So why these are medium? Because of the mixture of different kinds of cars in this cluster, values have got averaged out. So some cars would be there where the force of brake is high. Some cars are there where the force of brake is low. So ultimately we end up with, and of course some would be there where it is moderate. So after, I mean, the average, so all these values are averaged out and we get a moderate kind of value. So these sort of clusters are not easily interpretable because multiple different types of clusters are there. Okay. So let me close this. Yeah. Sorry. So different types of cars have got clubbed into same cluster. Now, when we used canonical variables instead of the original variables, we ended up with 4 cluster solutions. Okay. So sorry for some of the typos. So we ended up with 4 cluster solutions. Now, in this 4 cluster solution, we cannot judge these clusters based on canonical variables, because canonical variables are the linear combinations of the original variables. Okay, so those, I mean, finding meaning of the canonical variables is very tough and mostly impossible. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to get clusters, we need to get clubbings of the observations based on canonical variables. But after that, after we get those clubbings, after we get those clusters, we need to study our original variables within those clusters. So here you can see that when we studied these clusters, we see that premium sedans have got our separate clusters. VFM sedans have got in a separate cluster, where earlier possibly all sedans were within one cluster along with SUVs, which is pretty confusing. Here you can see SUVs are in a separate cluster and hatchbacks are in a separate cluster. And you see that how this maximum force are there, different features are there. Okay, I am not getting into these features to characterize how SUVs are, what are the specialities of hatchbacks, what are the characteristics of premium sedans, and so on. So considering all these features, maybe, I mean, motor vehicles can take decision on what can be the maximum permitted speed limit. Okay, and maximum permitted speed, and accordingly decide upon speed limits for each of these clusters. Okay, so the, I mean, usage of canonical variables helped us in getting better cluster solutions where similar kinds of cars have got clubbed in separate clusters. Okay, I mean, got in same cluster, and this is how we have got different clusters. Here we have seen that different kinds of cars, say the premium as well as VFM sedans, SUVs, have got clubbed in one cluster. Hatchbacks along with some other cars have got clubbed in some other cluster, maybe some multi-utility vehicles, some smaller SUVs. Okay. Now let me go a little faster. Challenge 2. So this challenge is in the domain of marketing and analytics. So suppose a CPG company, consumer packaged good company, wishes to launch new variants of instant noodles, okay, of their brand ABC. Okay, so ABC is a brand, and the company brand of noodles they already have in market, and they wanted to launch a new variant. Okay, they organized a survey in the market to capture attitudes and behaviors of people from the perspective of consumption of their product, of their brand ABC. Okay, they wish to get different segments, study their characteristics, and accordingly target people of those segments. Okay, so what is done in marketing? The whole market can have different kinds of people, right? So what marketer wants to do? Marketer wants to get segments, different clusters of different kinds of people, study their preferences, and accordingly target target those people. Okay. So survey is done by a battery of attributes consisting of statements related to attitudes and behaviors. Okay. And respondents were asked to rate on a 5-point scale. Fine. So we will see some examples of what kinds of statements are there. The challenge is fuzzy clustering is very important here. So because think about, suppose if we go for a K-means cluster analysis, which people go for, that is not a big problem, but some challenges are like we can end up with, suppose, 2 types of clusters, suppose instant noodle lovers and instant noodle haters. Okay. But is it so that these 2 clusters has to be should be very disjoint? It is not so, like. So some people would be there who are fence eaters. So some people would be there who do not like instant noodles, but still they consume while traveling. Okay, because that is something which can be easily eaten. Okay. Some people are there who hate instant noodles like anything, and they never consume instant noodles. Okay. So there is a fuzziness associated with this clustering. So that is the reason we prefer going for fuzzy cluster analysis, which can be done by a different class of cluster analysis method called mixture model based cluster analysis. Okay. So if I run mixture model based cluster analysis, we will see in the results that if we run mixture model based cluster analysis, considering all the statements together at one go, then we get solutions which doesn't make a lot of sense. We are not able to draw we are not able to characterize or draw some, define characteristics of different clusters. Okay, so that is the challenge. So what we will do, we will run 2 separate cluster solutions using the 2 separate batteries. One is of attitudes, the other one is of behaviors. And then we will do ensemble of those 2 cluster solutions. Okay. So, sorry. What is mixture model based clustering? Okay. And ensemble. So first, let me little bit talk about mixture model based clustering. So what it does, it assumes that the observations have come from different populations having different probability distributions. Okay. So you assume that you have got a simple example I am giving. You assume that you have got some coffee beans, okay, and you have an automatic method of measuring some characteristics of those coffee beans, maybe length, girth, texture of those coffee beans, and all these things you are measuring using some sensor, and all those coffee beans, you know that is a mixture from different fields. Some of the coffee beans have come from Ghana, some of the coffee beans have come from are from India. Okay, so you need to you need to run some algorithm to group similar kinds of coffee beans, and then maybe you can tag one of the groups with Ghana and one of the groups with India. Okay. So the coffee beans which have come from Ghana, those have a particular kind of measurements, and those measurements can be modeled in a particular multivariate probability distribution, while the coffee beans from India can be modeled from using a different multivariate probability distribution. Okay. Now, all these probability distributions are not known to us, and more interesting part is we don't even know how many probability distributions are there. So whether it is like my example, I said only Ghana and India, so only two multivariate probability distributions are there, but it may be, I mean, suppose we don't know how many. So it may be from multiple countries, okay? Coffee beans are there and you need to segregate those coffee beans, okay? So that the quality of the coffee you produce is not compromised, okay? So that is the objective. So, so the observations we get in a mixer model based clustering setup, we assume that the observations are mixture coming from different populations having different multivariate probability distributions, okay? And our objective is to find out how many such populations are there. I am using this word population as a term in statistics, okay? So population means the whole set of observations. So don't go by the English meaning, that is number of people in a particular place, okay? I'm not using the common English meaning. I'm not using population as it bears the common English meaning, okay? I'm using as a statistical jargon. So it is the whole set of observations, okay? So anyway, so identifies, okay. So what mixer model based clustering does, it identifies number of populations from which observations are originated. So number of probability distributions are not known to us. We need to identify that. Identifies density function of those populations, the density functions of those probability distributions, okay? So that is what it identifies. And based on that, it assigns probability to each of the observations for belonging to different populations, okay? So when you have different probability distributions, and when you know values of a particular coffee bean or a particular observation, you can get probability of that observation for belonging to different populations, right? So that is what it does, okay? So clusters are usually formed by assigning observations to the cluster. This is called modal assignment. So observations are assigned to the cluster where the probability is maximum, okay? Now, what is ensemble? So ensemble is, think that if I run a cluster solution using the battery of attitudes, I will get a 3 cluster solution. Just excuse me for a minute. Please excuse me for a minute. I'm sorry. So I was talking about ensemble. So suppose if I run cluster analysis, mixer model based clustering using the battery of attitudes, I get 3 cluster solutions. Using the battery of behaviors, I get 4 cluster solution. Then what I can do, then what will happen? I will get 3 probabilities adding up to 1 for each of the observations, right? From step 1. Then I will get 4 more probabilities adding up to 1 from step 2. Okay. Then what I can do, I can use all these 7 probabilities, which will add up to 2, right? So I can use all these 7 probabilities and run a cluster solution, or run mixer model based clustering again and get a cluster solution, which I can consider as my final cluster solution. So I can find out the optimum cluster solution by any method, by looking at say model based clustering provide measures like BIC, Bayesian information criteria. So these sort of things we can look at. We can look at other measures. I am not getting into those, like Dunn index, Davis-Bouldin index. So those we can consider, and we can come up with the optimum cluster solution. So model-based cluster solution, this whole mathematics which is there by which all this happens, includes all the game of probability, all these prior and posterior probabilities. Okay, some Bayesian approaches are also applied, can be applied. Okay. So let me show you some results. So when we took all the statements at one go, you can see that we got this sort of clusters. We were able to characterize two clusters, first two clusters very well. So these are the attributes. So these are the attributes like it's good for health, it's good for curbing hunger, is value for money. ABC is the name of the brand, if you remember. So that is ABC is tasty, it is rich in fiber, it has vitamins, it is rich in protein. So all these are related to attitudes. Okay, so what people perceive. It is not important whether ABC really has vitamins or not. It is not important whether ABC is really good for health or not, but what people perceive about that brand. So that is that is what we can capture from the survey. Okay, so it is not a report being given by a chemist or a nutritionist. Okay, it is the survey. It is what ratings we have got for in a survey. Okay, so and so these are the attitudes, and some behaviors are there, like I eat ABC during weekends, I eat ABC during weekdays in office and college. So suppose while being in office or being in college during lunch or maybe in any break, I use this instant noodle ABC. I eat ABC during traveling, while traveling to office, to and from to or from office or college. Okay, so while traveling, suppose I travel say 2 hours to reach office, and again I travel 2 hours back to get to my home. So during traveling, I have this food. Okay, so these are about behavior. So last three statements are related to behaviors. So here we have got ratings. So the average of the ratings. So average of ratings in a 5-point scale of people belonging to cluster one. So these are there in the first column. Here you can see the ratings. Such ratings are there. Average values are there in the second column, and so for the third cluster as well. In bracket we have sizes of the cluster. And if you look at these values, you can see that for the first cluster, you can see that people who like ABC for taste and benefits. So benefits means mostly this health and curbing hunger quickly. So they like this product, okay, like this brand. Second cluster is of people who do not like ABC much. They do not think that ABC is good for health. Please note that the scale is a discrete scale from 1 to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the options out of which one person has to rate. Okay. So the lowest value is not 0. Lowest value is 1 and highest value is 5. So a value, an average rating of 2.8 is in the lower side. Okay. So cluster 2 is of people where you find that ratings on the health related attributes like rich in fiber, rich in vitamins, rich in protein, good for health are not good. Okay, so these people feel that this ABC brand is not good for health, but they still consume ABC during weekdays because possibly having instant noodles is very convenient. So that convenience matters. Okay. While the cluster 3 is the biggest cluster, which is of 68% of people, and all the values are more or less somewhere lying around 3, 3.5, and so on. So we cannot draw characteristics of this cluster. So a big part of my market remains remains uncharacterized by me. So now if you look at the results that we get when we ran model-based clustering in the 2 separate batteries, and twice by taking 2 separate batteries separately, by taking the batteries separately of attitudes and behaviors, and then we ran an ensemble, then again we ended up with 3 cluster solution. Here you can see that the sizes have little bit got evened out. Okay, so no such huge cluster is there, like 68%. And here if you look at the ratings, you can characterize these clusters better. Okay, So discrimination among these values, among these average values is higher. So you can characterize these clusters better. So definition of cluster 1 and cluster 2 remains more or less same, though the characterization becomes a little bit better because these numbers gets further increased or decreased in some cases. But most important thing is we are able to characterize the other cluster also, and this cluster possibly can be characterized as people who are very much price conscious, okay, who feel that ABC is not value for money. So it means that they feel that they are not getting as much they expect after paying some amount of money. So in such a situation, what a marketer can do, maybe a marketer can think about coming up with two variants. One variant would be available in a little bit cheaper price. One variant will have some ingredients like maybe oats or whole grain, say multi-grain, different grains, or say whole wheats. Okay, so which can people consider as good for health. So then in that case, they would be able to target both cluster 2 and cluster 3 easily. And cluster 1 is already their customers, so they like ABC a lot. Okay, I mean, customers are everyone, but they are lovers. Okay. There is another challenge. So there's the third challenge, and this is the last challenge I will talk about. So cluster analysis in healthcare. Here the domain is healthcare, and the technique we will be using is DBSCAN. Okay. So in a healthcare, in a study of healthcare, cluster analysis is being done on a sample of diabetic patients. Okay, using some basic parameters, basic health related parameters. Okay, I will show you some what parameters are there. Now, challenge is some people are there who are outliers. Okay, whose values are outliers. Fine. So when more than one features are considered, so outlier, I think most of us understand that if suppose you consider income of people belonging to the municipality ward where I live, okay, so that possibly lies from, say, per capita income, that possibly lies from, say, INR 5,000 rupees to maybe INR 20,000 rupees, okay, and I'm just taking some examples, like don't go by reality, how true is that, how incorrect is that. Now, so what is outlier? If someone is there who earns much higher than that or much lower than that, then that person would be an outlier there. Okay. So here, outlier, now it may be possible, suppose if you consider two variables like cholesterol and triglyceride. Okay, by looking at one variable, you may not find that the person, the value is an outlier. Okay, so cholesterol, by looking at the value of cholesterol, you might find that it is more or less within the normal range. By looking at the value of triglyceride, you might find that it is also more or less within the normal range. But if you look at the values of cholesterol and triglyceride in conjunction, you might find that the value of cholesterol is in the much higher end, though within the normal range, while the value of triglyceride is much in the much towards the lower end, though within the normal range. So that can be considered as an outlier. Okay, so we had some kinds of outliers were there, and that's why we were getting some aberrations in the solution, in the cluster solution. So the technique which can help in such a situation is DBSCAN. It is density-based spatial clustering of applications with noise. Okay, so why? Because it deals with noise better. Okay, because it deals with noise better. So noise means some values which are possibly incorrect, which are possibly outliers. So DBSCAN is DBSCAN is robust for outliers. Okay. So what is the concept? Like what what does DBSCAN do? So you consider this scatter plot here. So you can see that these are the two outliers. So what it does, the algorithm finds out, again, I will not get into the mathematical part. So the algorithm finds out the dense area. You can see this is the dense area and this gives me the cluster. Okay. We will have other dense areas as well, which will give us other clusters. Now, this three observations you can see, these are closer to the dense area, and that's why both these observations are also included in the cluster. Okay, so these observations are the main members of the cluster, and while these are not, but still they belong to this cluster, while these two observations are quite far away and these are the outliers. Okay, so these are not considered. So this is what density-based spatial clustering of applications with noise does. Okay, DBSCAN does. So when we ran with and without outliers, so with outliers we ran using K-means, and without outliers we ran using DBSCAN. So one benefit of DBSCAN is, like K-means, we don't have to give input of how many clusters we need. In model-based clustering also, we need to give input of how many clusters we need, and the common practice is we usually create multiple cluster solutions, and based on the street law, based on some methodology, we select the best cluster solution. Okay. So suppose in K-means cluster solution, we have chosen 3 cluster solution, and here you can see values of these cluster solutions of these variables, health related variables. One value which is colored red, that is sugar PP, okay, is much higher. So average value of fasting sugar is 176, while the PP sugar we have found is, the average of PP sugar we have found is 374, which looks little bit unbelievable. It can be some error, existence of error in the data, and if not, then those subjects, those patients are to be studied separately. Okay, I'm sorry, those patients are to be studied separately. Okay, so we cannot use, we cannot keep them while doing cluster analysis. Otherwise, we will get clusters which we won't be able to interpret easily. And so if we cannot interpret a cluster easily, we cannot take actions easily. So when we ran DBSCAN, the algorithm itself didn't consider those outliers.
Mr. Mukherjee, Mr. Mukherjee,
yes,
we are in out of time. Just
okay. I need just 2 minutes.
oh.
Yeah, I need just 2 minutes. Yeah. So when we ran DBSCAN, we didn't consider, I mean, the algorithm didn't consider these outliers, and it generated cluster solutions like this, where you can see that minor changes are there in values, and the particular value which was problematic, 374, has got reduced to 251. Okay, so that is the benefit of using DBSCAN, which is robust to outliers. So I am done, sir.
Thank you very much for your in-depth presentation on unsupervised learning and cluster structure. And you can see we have 2 questions raised by Anand Sarup Pandey. Mr. Mukherjee, can you see?
Yeah, I am trying to see that. Okay, Anand Sarup Pandey. Okay, can we inform that extent of utilization of AI tools is? Yeah, so this is totally about AI tools, right? Is discretionary power of leaders in non-program decision making in organizational process. Yeah. So shall I take these questions, or what do you suggest, or any other panelist to take this question? Sir, these questions are not specific to my presentation, I think. So, but if you say, I can take these questions. Am I audible?
Yeah, Mr. Mukherjee, you are audible. You may take the question, please.
Okay, thank you. So can we infer that extent of utilization of AI tools is discretionary power of leaders in non-programmed decision making, in non-programmed decision making in organizational process? So of course, I think it's the discretionary. So people, I mean, how much AI tools one should use in organization is depends. I mean, it's of course a matter of discretion. And what I personally feel that considering the maturity of artificial intelligence at this time point, at present time point, and also the purpose for which these AI tools are being used, okay, in a particular organization to be used. So all these maturity things has to be judged, and accordingly those are to be used. So suppose, for example, if I think about using AI tools to in HR to shortlist CVs, shortlist biodata, then maybe I mean, if that is the question, then my personal opinion would be possibly not going for that at this point of time. Maybe in future we can do that when we have better tools. But if it is about identifying fingerprints or identifying whether a person is wearing mask or not, then we can definitely use AI tools. How is concepts of AI, ML, DL are related to big data analytics in supply chain management, inbound logistics, outbound logistics for improvising GM software by incorporating feature of percentage? I actually don't have expertise in supply chain. So that is not the domain where I have worked. So I cannot answer this question. If anybody else can answer, please do that. And I will, before that, I will just say that big data technologies is mostly about dealing data, right? So it is about like managing data. I mean, it is about like starting from the warehousing, retrieval, and everything. And then on that, like we have algorithms. It enables us to run algorithms on that as well. So on cloud-based technologies, we do that. Okay. So for the supply chain part, I am sorry, I cannot answer. I don't have any in that.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Aslam Sheikh raised his hand. Okay. Any question, Dr. Aslam? Dr. Aslam Sheikh. So no question, I think. So thank you very much for your in-depth presentation on this topic, important topic. It has put up the real essence of the program and has directed the ultimate pathway to achieve it. Okay, thank you very much. Now, I request our Honorable Secretary, sir, to present his vote of thanks.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Das. Vote of thanks in this evening's webinar on application of machine learning.
Kindly mute the other device.
Engineer Amit Kumar Das, Chairman, Computer Engineering Division.
Sir, are you,
Sir,
you are
kindly unmute.
unmute yourself.
Yeah, is it okay?
Yes, sir, please
Yes,
proceed.
Special thanks to Dr. Bimal Dar, member chemical moderator of webinar. Thanks to today's eminent speakers, Dr. Chandan Kumar, Professor and Dr. B.C. Engineering College, Durgapur, for his deliberation. Though due to some technical problems, we could not listen his full presentation. Thank to Dr. G.S. Mitra Thakur, Associate Professor, Department of CSE.
Sir, your audio is not clear, sir. There is very much interference.
Yeah. Coordinator, Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning, Dr. Dishira Engineering College, Durgapur, for well lecture and specific presentation. Thanks to Mr. Biswaro Mukherjee, data scientist and artificial intelligence and machine learning, analytics and insights, Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, Kolkata. Thanks to all the participants from different organizations for their patience hearings. Thanks to all the technical team members of IEI headquarters for their great support throughout to make the seminar colors. Hope you enjoy the seminar very well. A very good Sunday ahead. Thank you. With this, I conclude today's seminar. Good night.
good night, sir. Sir,
Thank you so much to all of you. It was a wonderful presentations given by our eminent panelists and well guided by the moderator. So I hope participants like it. Thank you so much and good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Good
Thank you,
night.
sir. Now, with the
Thank you.
permission of the chair, I am closing the session.
oh, thank you.
Yes,